thanks for being here. I don't know how many of you discovered China Connect, who's here for the first time and who's been here for a couple of years already. I recognize familiar faces. So just a word on this conference that we launched in 2011, China Connect, with the idea of bridging the Chinese ecosystem with Europe, and in particular you, with the majority of the audience marketers, trying to understand what's going on in this fascinating country and super challenging internet ecosystem. So it's a long journey, and we'll come to the theme that we've picked up this year and the reason why we chose it. But before that, I just wanted to thank everybody. Do come down. Thanks very much. To thank all the partners who are really supporting us. This initiative that we've launched is now in Paris, but we launched in Shanghai as well. So the partners that you see on this image in the background, Seiko. Is Eric Chan here? Eric, are you there? No. Yeah, you're there. Fantastic. So you'll know more about him actually and what they are developing with Seiko this afternoon. There's We Are Social, Pitlin, and the team of We Are Social, bridging the continents from the US to Europe to Asia as well. Robinate, so Miranda and Asian, are they here? An amazing platform bridging actually brands and influencers, and it's all about blockchain as well and AI. So those who are already lost in translation with blockchain, like I am, I assume that I am, I think we'll know a lot more this afternoon. Docomo Digital, actually Ludovic is here and his team. Fantastic, so the Japanese are coming to Europe. Haha, and we'll know more about mobile payment this morning with your workshop actually during the first break session. So as soon as you're very thirsty, you just jump to the workshop to know a little bit more about it. Splio, very easy to pronounce, who's been accompanying us. I mean, Splio was there last year as well. There's a new team with Jean-Baptiste, so we'll know more as well this afternoon, who's been in China for quite a while already. Faber Novel as well. Here's Zineb and the team. Coming from the US as well, or no? No. I think there's the CEO coming from the US who's in town actually as well. And I haven't forgotten anyone. And then New York Times, I want to highlight the fact that we have an amazing media partnership with the New York Times, and of course, all the other media supporting us, French Web, L'ADN, etc. I mean, there's been really very, ongoing support, because believe me, in 2011 China Connect, I mean, everybody thought that, okay, what is this story? So it's a long journey, and I think now we just reach a sort of shift, and that helps me actually make the transition precisely to the theme of this year. Why the new word inspiration? And I would say digital China, the new word inspiration, because even some Chinese people tell me, China, the new word inspiration? So aren't you going a bit too far? I said, no, don't worry, there's no misunderstanding. So the idea was really, again, following this market for quite a while. I think what we've seen is precisely the maturity of this market, with strong players becoming really pillars of the ecosystem when we think about e-commerce, about social media. And then there is this, never-ending, ongoing vitality, entrepreneurships, and of course, competition. On one side, those big players, and in parallel, the emergence of new niche players, but who can really make it in the sense that they really answer a demand with new consumers, with different expectations versus a few years back. So the idea was really to highlight this shift that we feel is really happening now. It started already in 2017. Well, actually, it's a trend, so it's just the signal that we wanted to say, in the sense that everything is accelerating in a way that if you don't keep the pace of it, I mean, there's, on one hand, you can just lose big opportunities, and on the other end, you just can get totally lost, actually. So the point of China Connect is really to try to connect you with players on the ground. That's our DNA. You know, that's the challenge, bringing people on ground. So those who are flying over here, we just feel like there are no experts who can live here. You have to be really 360, you know, hands-on, and really facing the complexity of this market. So again, I thank all the speakers, all the people who contribute to this today's session, and we do rely on you as well, absolutely, with your participation. Do interact. I mean, that's also, I think, something that we want to have here. It's not the case, you know, on every conferences where you have speakers and then they go and they leave. So we have a limit, and I don't want to be too late, actually, because I might be. Yes, do interact when you can with questions, and then if we don't have more time, it's going to be during the breaks. Very quick word, actually, about this new word inspiration. Very quickly, you have here covers of magazines. Maybe it's very familiar to some of you, but talking actually the internet environment and the entrepreneurship and Chinese millennials, let's call them this way because we're going to hear a lot about them for those 2 days. They are really actually the pillars of this revolution in the making of this very fast evolving consumption markets happening, and the way people are really connecting between each other. There is, I think, like never before, the emergence actually of this superpower through an amazing mercantile and actually technological influence. So you have those two players that maybe a few of you definitely know, like, you know, Jingdong and Alibaba, but also Tencent. All of them, you've noticed lately, I've just considered that we are going much forward, you know, what we call offline to offline and online to offline, but going to this new retail era, and everybody has his own name, you know, just to define it, like new retail and modern retail and smart retail. So there's really something happening, you know, for the people to connect in a way that is totally seamless. And it just is very much illustrated by those unmade stores, you know, that you just check in without having to, you know, to pay or identify yourself just through facial recognitions, actually, and even facial payments. So this is really happening, both on the launch of WeLife from Tencent back a few months back, and then those different places like Bingo Box. When we're talking technological influence, for sure, I mean, no later than just a few weeks ago, you had this article from the New York Times. There is really a superpower with very big objectives, a roadmap that is very clear, 2030. They have an objective to definitely bypass actually the US in this field. I will not tell more because we have really strong, knowledgeable people who will contribute on this field these next hours and day. In terms of technological influence, here you've got drones, you've got robots, you've got connected cars. The image in the middle is the one from Chinese New Year. I don't know if you've seen this amazing show on the bridge with BYD cars. Actually, all of them were driverless. So it's really a push in terms of communication, you know, showing in how massive things can be. And it is very easily impressive rapidly. So there's a demonstration, but it's also a sort of entertainment 3.0. So there's a little bit of both, I think, into this. This one is also interesting in terms of Young, the drones. The founder of these drones was here in Paris in 2016. I don't know if you've seen them, but just 2 weeks ago, they were really testing these drones with a human inside driving it. That's a world premiere. So that is very interesting. Actually, Eric Schmidt from Google just recently said as well, okay, if we don't do something, definitely we're going to be lost, and the Chinese will dominate in the AI field. Another milestone, I would say, that you probably noticed is that Tencent, actually, back in December, was one of the only first actually Chinese company to be ranked in the top 5 worldwide companies in terms of capitalization. And when you know that this business model, doesn't rely that much on advertising, and the opportunity that remains, it's going to be amazing, and probably the gap is going to be wider. In terms of convenience, I think that's a word that is very much in line with what China stands for today. I will not extend myself because, again, for those 2 days, you'll have plenty of evidence of this, but really, this is something today that is core, actually, to our daily lives. Everything that is convenient is going to be best and better than anything. I think when it comes to China, everybody is very familiar to all those more than talks, but really achievements in terms of mobile payment solutions, how much everything can be super easy. And very lately, actually, I saw this image from Winmart. It was about paying with a smile with Ali. It was paying with just showing your face, and then you can pay with just putting your hand, and that's it. So they are never short of an idea. In terms of definitely going towards a cashless society, I think these kind of events that both Alibaba and Tencent are doing, like during the summer, inventing a no cash day, during 1 week, no cash, or even during 1 month, it really shows you how much, there's no need of cash. Actually, there's also this. I'm very late, so I'm going to accelerate. I think this is also very interesting in terms of how China is disrupting the fintech business. Back a few years ago, Alibaba launched a fund everybody could have access to, and you could have an interest rate of something like 7%, while at the same moment, central banks were offering you, rates of 4%. So there was just a big problem, and the central banks said, okay, listen, guys, you're going to have to slow down on this. And they just accepted to lower the rates so that they can keep on doing business. In the EdTech business, that's also a huge trend happening right now. Just bear in mind that the Chinese are obsessed about learning languages. They have their kids, they are 3 years old, they want them to be fluent, so they're investing massive amount of money just to have their kids learn. And how does that happen? Through live streaming, actually. And they hire hundreds of US, in particular, teachers, just to give lessons to their kids across live streaming. So this is really huge, with, in particular, those two companies that raised important amount of funds. Then there is games, and I think Yannick Bolloré will tell us a little bit more at the end before lunch about the importance of what's going on in terms of content, and yes, indeed, eSports. This is big. You know that the Chinese are just the people of gamers. They love it. And the amount of people connected and playing is just amazing. And Tencent, actually, you probably know Nike Town in the US. Actually, Tencent is going to just announce a sort of eSports town with everything that you can see here included in it. So really more than a campus, kind of an industry, and that's really, show you the signals in terms of ambitions into this field. And when we're talking influence, inspiration, we always facing, this challenge of localizing our brands in China. And the Chinese are not that much expanding. They are starting. They are just at the very beginning of their global expansion. But here, into this really big business, into the very good, they just launched recently a major, hit in the country, which is Honor of Kings, and the name in the West is Arena of Valor, and they launch it. Apparently, it's start to go well. I don't know, there's people from Ubisoft who are here today, so they probably check the market and let us know. But again, this is, as you can see, something very important. From Tencent, who is actually also the one, buying very famous Finnish brands like Supercell in the game arena, so that's really big. And I wanted to finish with something also we're going to spend some time on, because it's super important for you. This influencer business, it's just one of a kind in the sense that, okay, we know that it is mainstream, okay, it's happening everywhere, everybody is embracing the opportunity, but the scale and the gap in terms of how much it's important and how much it impacts actually your business is amazing. It's amazing in the sense that it can work, and of course it can fail at the same time. So it's really unique to this Chinese ecosystem, how much unknown people, just nobodies, can achieve something and drive sales. And I think one of the latest trends is this one about those influencers knowing about how much they have an impact on the business and launching their own brand. So we see that happen a lot in fashion categories, maybe a little bit in cosmetics, and I think it's going to go across many more industries in a few more times. This is what I wanted to say as an introduction about, China as the new word inspiration. So hopefully it's going to be a sort of thin line that is going to feed those 2 days. So thanks for your attention. And just to finish with, I think there's this image that says a lot. That was tweeted actually by a friend lately. But if China goes that fast and in this way, it's just because there's a unique thing happening, is how much the government and the industry collide. And this is unique. I think it's probably one of the major, I wouldn't say drawbacks for sure, but definitely something that is not going to happen on our side. So that is going to slow the process and definitely, I think, make it even more challenging for us in the West to achieve.